It seemed to me then that life was going awry. But it's always worse for someone, right? It happens when everything falls apart at once. For 2 months in a row, I had the lowest sales at work. So when it came to reducing staff, I became the most visible target. The director also didn't want to pay me severance pay, so he started pushing and hinting that sales were not my thing. And in general, you need to have a conscience and not come to the office for free coffee. I couldn't stand it and wrote a statement of my own volition. It's an unpleasant situation, but anything can happen in life. At least I had a relationship. The main thing is that there is a loved one, and work is nothing. You can always find another place. But even then, I got stabbed in the back. A couple of days after my dismissal, my girlfriend Veronica said that she had a difficult conversation with me. There is no need to continue here. Difficult conversations begin in order to arrange a debriefing or break up. Yes, Veronica has announced that she intends to end the relationship. And it supposedly had nothing to do with my career failures, although I still think that it also played a role. Nika said she wanted to break up because the sparks had gone out and everything had become too formal. I guess I was boring to her. This girl is quite temperamental, and it's impossible to quarrel with me. At times, she tried to make scandals, and I looked at it all with sympathy. Well, I don't see romance in the strain. Smashing dishes, scandals, that's not for me. I've always wanted something simple and casual. I guess we're just different. And now they're just neighbors again. Yes. The difficulty is that this girl lived across the hall from me. How can you push this breakup situation away from yourself if you inevitably have to see her face? Although, to be honest, I wasn't too worried, because now there were bigger problems. Life is expensive. I had to find a job urgently so as not to get into debt. Of course, I shared my problems with my relatives. And then my grandmother offered me an interesting option. She asked if I would temporarily take care of my Aunt Marina, who lived literally 2 houses away from me. Crazy Aunt Marina was the heavy cross of our family. Her grandmother took care of her all her life, but the years took their toll. Because of her age, the old woman could have used a nurse herself. She always took care of others. Grandma wanted to get some rest, not to travel so far. DEI. But she either forgets to drink them, or forgets that she has already drunk, swallows in full, and inadequate state. If you keep an eye on her, I'll support you with money until you find a job. I have savings. Grandma, yes, I could, but I'm afraid I might not be able to do it, I said. You just need to come to her once a day, buy food from the list, and give her medicine. Grandma continued to persuade. She doesn't even clean herself very well, really, but I agreed to clean. I thought, why not? It's a good deed. Besides, not a stranger. The first time we came to Aunt Marina's house, my grandmother and I came together. Her small apartment was all cluttered up. Some packages, suitcases. All the surfaces in the kitchen were filled with jars, vials, cups, and other utensils. There are tall stacks of old newspapers in the hallway. There are piles of clothes on every chair, and every armchair in the room. My abnormal relative was not an old woman. She was still 48 years old and looked a little younger than her age, slender, with bright eyes, but her madness was noticeable at first glance. She was sitting on the couch with her legs tucked under her and her hands on her hips. She was wearing an old robe, and her hair was braided like a little girl's. My aunt was staring at the wall and smiling broadly. "Marinka, we're here. Do you remember Vitya, your nephew?" asked Grandma. I remember, niece," the aunt replied at the top of her voice. "Why did you come here?" "I told you yesterday he'll look after you for a week or two. He'll come in to see how you live here," Grandma reminded. "In the meantime, I'll take care of other things." "Oh, okay," my aunt exclaimed. "Vitka is funny. Let him come in." Grandma and I left her and went into the kitchen. She showed me where everything was, which pills to give. She asked me not to bother my aunt with questions. She's on her own mind. She's never bored. Marinka lives in her head, and God be with her. Grandma also said she would call and ask how things were going here, and then she handed me the keys and 20,000 in cash. "Here you go for the buy. First time. You'll tell me how it ends." That's how I became the guardian of my abnormal relative. I was afraid of her when I was a kid. Her behavior seemed unpredictable. But now I'm an adult, and why should a skinny, strange aunt be afraid? The next day, around lunchtime, I went to check on her. I went into a quiet entrance and began to climb to the 4th floor. The higher I got, the clearer I heard the mumbling. It was Aunt Marina's voice. It was as if she was talking to someone. Maybe Grandma came to check on us? I stopped at the door to the apartment, clutching the key in my fingers. "Vitka comes to see me now. This is my nephew. Good boy. Let him come, because I'm already tired of Grandma." It was coming from behind the door. Why? She stinks of pills. He grumbles, constantly forbids everything. And I want to do what I want. I want to do what I want. I pricked up my ears and listened. Who is she confessing to? Certainly not with Grandma. I want to play with dolls. Grandma won't let me play with dolls, and my soul is begging. Aunt Marina was almost screaming. "It doesn't matter that she's an adult. You're going to tell me more. That's all I want." There was no sound of her companion. I opened the lock and entered. "Hello, Aunt Marin." A deep silence immediately fell in the apartment. "Aunt Marina." "I call." And the woman looked out of the room. She looked scarier than a witch. A disheveled pigtail on one side, spiky hair on the other, eyes like saucers, mouth open, cheeks smeared with something. "Do you have company?" I asked warily. "No," she replied, thrusting her hands into the pockets of her robe. "Who were you talking to just now?" The woman shook her head. "I didn't talk to anyone. I was silent." My heart felt heavy. Is she really that crazy that she's having such emotional conversations with herself? Then it's time to take your medication. Grandma used to say that you should take a pill after eating, so I quickly took off my shoes, took off my jacket and went to the kitchen to heat yesterday's mashed potatoes with cutlets. I cut bread, whittled a salad, and invited Aunt Marina to dinner. She quickly ate every last crumb. I poured her a glass of water and handed the pill to the beaker. "Are you going to make me drink them too?" The relative was indignant, like a child. Is it really difficult? Drink just 1 pill a day? I smiled. Well, okay. Aunt Marina reluctantly agreed, put the pill on her tongue and washed it down with water. I felt uneasy in that house, but I wanted to be useful, so I picked up a broom. It was too dirty. There are wrappers, sand, and hair on the floor. I was sweating while I was sweeping the kitchen and hallway. I had to take off my hoodie. The trash can was filled up. I couldn't find any bags for him, so I used a grocery bag. My aunt was not against cleaning. She followed, watched, and talked. That's what I've come up with. I put my things neatly in the room, adjusted the cushions on the couch, and decided it was time to finish. Well, Aunt Marin, it seems to have become cleaner. The woman nodded, dropping her head sharply as if she was ready to fall asleep standing up. Is it really, from 1 pill? You should lie down to rest, I advised, and went to get dressed. But there is no hoodie. I remembered for sure that I had left it on a hanger in the hallway, but it was gone. And how surprised I was when I found it in the toilet. She was lying there, rolled up, soaked through, as if they were trying to wash her off. Aunt Marin, for what? Huh? What? The woman asked, as if she didn't understand my indignation. Why did you put my sweatshirt in the toilet? I was shaking with irritation and injustice. I love this purity, and it's disgusting to me. Did I put my jacket in the toilet? Are you crazy? I didn't do anything. Aunt Marina protested in response, and Grandma said she was calm. That's what crazy means. She did something nasty and doesn't even remember it. I thought I was a patient person, and it's kind of ridiculous to be offended. But I immediately wanted to return the money to my grandmother immediately. And to say that I refused to look after my sick aunt. But after thinking about it, I realized that it was my own fault. I started cleaning up, even though no one asked me to. I left the item unattended. Anyway, I didn't really like this hoodie. Her ex gave it to her. Apparently, it's time to get rid of her. I'm not going to wash the thing after the toilet. I took my sweatshirt out of the toilet, put it in a bag, and threw it away on the way home. I knew that you can't look for meaning in the actions of madmen, but still I was wondering why she did it. Was she angry that I had to take pills? Or did she not like that I took up cleaning? And why was she lying? She talked to herself, put her sweatshirt in the toilet, and then denied everything. Or was it not a lie? What if the aunt has another personality that makes her do bad things? And yet, it's scary. You never know what else she's capable of. The next day, when I went there, anxiety itched in my chest. I wanted to finish my duties as soon as possible. Feed her, give her medicine, and go home. This time, the entrance was quiet. I carefully opened the lock. I didn't want to wake my relative if she was sleeping, but it turned out that she was not at home. And in the room, the window is wide open. I immediately imagined the worst. He leaned out and looked down. There's no one there. What kind of business is this? Where did she go? He took out his phone and frantically began searching for his grandmother and his contacts. And then the door in the hallway slammed. Aunt Marina appeared in the doorway, dressed like hell. He wore a gray coat, a red turtleneck sweater over it, and rubber boots on his bare feet. "Aunt Marin, where have you been? What's it to you?" the woman wondered. "I can't even go outside anymore without your permission." "It's just that I'm worried. The window is also open, Nastiash." I felt awkward. She sounded like an adult, quite balanced person, and it was confusing. Yes, it was hot in the apartment. There was nothing to breathe. Opened the window, and I went downstairs for 10 minutes to feed the cats, which made me scream. Well, I just calmed down and thought the craziest aunt in the world, but she suddenly went into the kitchen, took a knife out of her pocket and put it on the table. "Have you been out with a knife?" I asked in surprise. The crazy relative stared at me with frozen eyes and said, "Yes. There are a lot of evil people on the street. You need to defend yourself. Grandma should have known about it." I dialed the number and told her everything. She just replied, "Oh yes, Marinka is just shy. She won't hurt him. Fly. If you're worried, just put the knives away, and that's in the medicine cabinet. There are pink pills. They are called Tirolier. Give her half of one and she'll be calmer." After finishing the conversation, I started cooking lunch. I found dumplings with potatoes in the freezer, boiled them, plopped sour cream, sprinkled with dried dill, and invited my aunt to dinner. It was important to give her the medicine on a full stomach. "Vitka, thank you for your concern." She smiled. "If someone insults you at school, you tell me right away." "I'm fine at school," I replied, not understanding. Was she joking? Or did she really still think I was a teenager? That time, Aunt Marina took the pills without any objections. There was plenty of food in the fridge. I wouldn't have been hungry. I said goodbye to her, asked her not to go anywhere else, and not to open the window so that she wouldn't freeze. "Don't worry, Vitya. Don't worry about anything. God bless you," she said. I grabbed a bag of trash and left the entrance. And the stage unfolded in front of me for the show. A brand new black Audi drove into the courtyard, driven by a guy with a neatly trimmed beard. There's a girl next to him, my ex-girlfriend. "That's it, Nicole. I won't go any further there. I'll make you do anything," the guy said. "It's okay. I'll get there. There are 2 houses to walk through. See you tomorrow." The girl happily kissed her new boyfriend and ran out into the street. And here I was, standing like a fool, clutching a bag of 5 in my hand and looking at it all. Veronica's eyes widened. "Oh, hello, Vitya." The guy stuck his head out of his cool car, gave me an appraising look, and then asked the girl, "Is everything okay?" "Yes, it's a neighbor," she replied. "Understood." "Hello, neighbor," said the bearded man, backed up and sped off. "Are you going home?" Veronica asked, turning to me. "No, I still have to go to the store." I lied so I wouldn't have to walk next to her and listen to her about her new, gorgeous boyfriend. Ah, got it. Okay. I haven't been with him long, if anything. "Everything was fair with you," Veronica said, looking intently into my eyes. I smiled, pretending I hadn't felt anything, although I've just been spat on with gusto. "You don't have to justify yourself to me. This is your life. You've always been like this." Veronica grinned. "Well, Just once. Just a little bit jealous. Boredom. Okay. I'm glad that everything is fine between us. Yeah, I'm glad too. I put on a fake smile. This is for you, a gift. I shoved a bag of trash at her and started walking in the opposite direction. Vitya, are you a moron? She shouted after me, realizing what was in her hands. But I didn't turn around. Like that, Veronica was doing well. She was already arranging her personal life, and I'm still unemployed and single. I'm looking out for a crazy relative who was getting weirder by the day. I looked in on her the next day and found her doing a strange thing. She was painting. To be precise, she was nervously scribbling on a piece of paper with a red pencil. She threw it aside and took up a new one. Her movements were so abrupt that the paper tore. It was like an acute psychosis. Auntie, what are you doing? I paint in red. How did you sink? She replied. Those words made me feel sick. These daubs on the sheets resembled pools of blood. Didn't I ask you for anything? Marina ignored this remark. Red is your favorite color. Do you want everything to be red? Will you bring me the dolls now? What kind of dolls? Calm down, please. I tried not to scream, even though I was terrified. I want to play with dolls. Bring me the dolls, Vitya. Aunt Marina threw down her pencil, fell face down on the table, and sobbed. What's the matter with you? It seemed to me that at this rate, I would soon be going as a cuckoo myself. And suddenly Aunt Marina changed dramatically. She raised her head. Her face was completely calm. Vitya, will you give me a pill? I don't feel very well, she said. Yes, of course, but you should eat first, I said, trying to calm down with a trembling voice. What kind of woman is this with a man in a black car? My aunt asked, getting up from the table. I asked, realizing who she was referring to. I saw it from the balcony, my aunt replied, coming up to me with a mad look. He's already ugly, angry, and a nasty woman. Snake eyes. She's so scary. These are your enemies. I know everything. When you leave, take a knife. If they bother you again, scare them. Aunt Marina, stop it, or I'll take you to the nut house, I threatened. And she immediately froze. Tears glistened in her eyes. Don't be silly. It's bad out there. I sat her down at the kitchen table so I wouldn't lose sight of her. I boiled buckwheat and sausages. I waited until she was done eating and gave her some pills. He asked me to stick out my toe. It seemed to me that my aunt was not just crazy, but possessed by some kind of demons. It was as if several personalities were fighting in it, deciding who would take the helm. Sometimes calm, sometimes aggressive, sometimes tearful. She remembers one thing, but not the other. How interesting. Grandma coped with all this. Maybe she knew the right approach to this mad woman. I thought that I should look for a job as soon as possible and get rid of all this. Such concerts happened every day. I hid all the knives, but they were missing from their hiding place. A sick relative confidently stated that she did not take them. My aunt kept asking me to bring her dolls, and I promised that I would if she would behave herself. I started twitching, and I started having nightmares. In them, A tense hand moved a red pencil across a sheet. Then the pencil turned into a knife, and underneath it was no longer paper, but someone's neck, and the blade of the knife inflicted deep wounds. There was blood everywhere. I woke up in wild terror. No, you can't do that. This woman needs to be sent to a clinic, or she'll do something bad. That was my feeling. And then one day, on my way to my aunt's, I met Veronica. She wasn't as happy as last time. Her lips were trembling. "Vitya, I'm sorry. Of course I have to ask you," the girl said. "Well, ask away," I said, thinking that she was going to give me a wrapped garbage bag. To my surprise, she started talking about something else entirely. "Do you remember when you saw me with a guy?" asked Nika. "So what?" I replied almost rudely. He was going to visit me the day before yesterday, but he didn't come. Or rather, that's what I thought. And then I saw his car in the yard. The window is already frozen there. There she stands, see? The girl pointed me to the parking lot. There was a black Audi parked there. I didn't know what to say to her. Everything was mixed up in my head. I remembered the wailing of the mad ant. I remembered how Nika left me. I remembered a haughty glance in my direction from her new crest. "Do you think he's missing? Maybe he just has some other madam from our building?" I quipped. I'm serious. Well, it's weird that he left his car here and left, right? Veronica asked uncertainly. He's not answering his phone. I thought maybe he was giving me an emotional swing, but it was kind of scary. I have a bad feeling about this. Have you seen him by any chance? I can ask someone, I said thoughtfully. From whom? Hope lit up in the girl's eyes. Can you help? I ran into a relative's apartment. She was sitting on the couch with her legs tucked under her. She looked at the wall and smiled. "Aunt, answer me honestly. What did you do to that guy?" I asked loudly, right in her face. "What other guy?" "The bearded man who stole your woman," she clarified. I asked loudly, right in her face. "What other guy?" "The bearded one who stole your woman," she clarified. "What makes you think that?" My aunt's smile widened. "You told me so yourself." It was as if she had really set herself a goal. "Drive me crazy. Tell me, did you do something to him?" I tried to get through. "Me? No." The mad woman shook her head. "I didn't do anything to him." It was impossible to tell from her face whether she was telling the truth, lying, or simply not remembering. "And the dolls, when will you bring them to me?" I understood that she should be in the clinic under supervision, but I was afraid of being involved in some terrible business. And so he kept quiet, left everything as it was, and let another day pass. And once again, I woke up from another nightmare. I went out into the yard, and the black car was still there. The owner never showed up. Exhausted and nervous, he came to his aunt's apartment. He stopped at the door, listening to the muffled murmur. The mad woman spoke in different voices, sometimes rude, sometimes squeaky. "My girl, do you want to drive a car?" No, I don't want to. "You're scary. Wait, girl, let me kiss you." Smack, smack, smack. Oh no. Get your nasty tum off me. I opened the door, flew into the apartment, and saw a terrifying scene. Aunt Marina was sitting on the carpet in the room and playing with the heads, as with dolls, severed human heads. One belonged to Veronica, the other to that bearded guy. Pale faces, half-closed eyes, blue lips, and black swollen tongues. I shouted at the top of my voice. Aunt Marina got scared and dropped her head. Vitya, are you yelling again? You're completely crazy. I'm crazy. I'm crazy. You killed people, cut off their heads. Don't you understand that? I cut off the heads. So you brought them to me yourself. What? Yesterday you said in a bucket, here you are, instead of dolls. This can't be. I said these words in a whisper because I realized she was absolutely right. Somewhere in the depths of my memory, the heavy door of the safe suddenly opened, and the suppressed memories burst out. My aunt is just a sick woman, but a real psycho. It's me. I was the one who put the hoodie in the toilet because I hated it. I was the one who ambushed my ex's new boyfriend late at night, stabbed him with a knife, and quietly dragged him to the basement because I hated him. And then, when Veronica asked, "Can you help?" I replied that I had seen something suspicious. He lured her into the basement, showed her the guy's corpse, and stabbed her before she could scream, because I hated her with all my heart. After that, I happily cut off both their heads, put them in a bucket, covered them with a cloth, and took them to my aunt as a gift. And I happily forgot about all this. He hid it deep inside himself. It was convenient for me to blame a sick relative for everything. Aunt Marin, have you been airing your apartment for a long time? I asked quietly. It's so hot, I can't breathe. The woman wiped her tears, got up from the floor, and said, Now. For some reason, it seemed to me like a great idea to push her out of the window and then say that it was all her doing. She turned out to be a tenacious aunt and got off with a couple of fractures. Although even if Aunt Marina died and didn't tell you anything, you would have found out anyway, right? You don't have fools in the department.